Look, the community did send me a video of Grimlock getting crushed. There's a viral video of superheroes eating pasta. Here's some examples of how AI and 3D printing can make much more organic structures around us. This is not a video of a girl. This is the new HeyGen update. So those kind of talking avatars where you can like use text to prompt what they say. This is how realistic they look as of today. These two found the perfect use for a vacuum robot. Altera uses GPT-4 to build a new era of human collaboration bots. There's this guy who's being charged federally because he used artificial intelligence songs to generate over $10 million in streaming revenue. I want to show you this really cool transformer explainer. You can actually choose the words that go in, see how they get processed, and then what the probabilities are of the words that come out. The way some of these companies are handling our personal data is so egregious, there's actually a Dutch regulator that's thinking about holding the executives personally accountable. There's this really cool piece of research about longevity called the Cell Rejuvenation Atlas I want to tell you about. There's a renowned mathematician who's starting to paint this picture of what like AI solving math problems at scale might be like in the future, and it's mind-blowing. Olivia Dobbs found the 20 most interesting species that were discovered in 2024. I forgot that we keep still discovering species every year. Or this thing, common name not yet coined. Oh my god, it does look like a coin. Oh, and I guess the whole Penrose quantum, consciousness thing that seems kind of stupid and crazy and weird has actually got some more evidence behind it. So we're going to keep talking about it. Because, what if it is right? I don't think it is, but what if? So I asked on my community tab if you guys would take Grimlock, this little robot guy over here, and actually use AI to crush, liquidate, and cake him. And this is why I love the community so much. Look what I got. Grimlock. Look at Grimlock crushed. I can't believe how good that is. Now, do you guys want to see Grimlock made of birthday cake? All right, who wants a slice? Shoop, and then loop.
Grimlock, wish you happy birthday. We party.
I don't really know what's up with that hand. It's got a few too many tattoos on it or whatever for me. But, oh, look, at the very bottom there, the cake knife actually cut through the wooden thing there, too. Finally, I present to you Grimlock melting. Whoa. So hot in here. And look at the melted, T1000 stuff. Totally does melt right off the edge of this table. And look, because it doesn't know what's behind it, it does all this weird, look at this weird stuff. What's behind it is actually this edge here, but it doesn't know that, so it doesn't continue the bookshelf or anything. Oh, yeah, right out of his eye. Melting.
Goodbye, friends. Goodbye.
And check this out. If you love superheroes and you love pasta, AI has got you covered. Peric Chivaler IA has made this really cool superhero thing. Look, there's Batman fighting a bunch of noodles, spaghetti all over his arm. Superman, pasta wrapped around a stick. Boom, right into a fork. Scarlet Witch. Oh, yeah. Probably different dimensional pasta. Oh, Deadpool's even in this one. Oh, he made a slide out of pasta. Thor and your hammer would be perfect for that. Who's that guy? I don't know that guy, but he looks like he does evil pasta. See, it even powers Supergirl. No, I thought he liked brains. I guess pasta has kind of got some brainy-like vibe. So I just wanted to show this because it's kind of an interesting way maybe that the future could go, or for you entrepreneurs out there. I think there's a lot of things in our environment that people buy for their houses that don't look very organic, right? Like boxes and drawers and TV. Everything's got these edges everywhere. But with 3D printers and AI that can mimic some of these cool organic shapes, you can build lamps and dishes, shelving, I don't know, closets and stuff. They could be done in a more kind of fun, natural, organic, flowy way. I mean, come on, out of these two, who would you rather hang out with? Geometric, loser, or organic?
Geometric shapes are in things that people make, like street signs, a sheet of paper, or this dinner plate. Geometric shapes, listen up, this is neat, are often found in patterns. Yep, they repeat. You can make geometric shapes anytime. Just start making straight lines. Let's get into shape. Organic shapes are in nature. Let's find more, like the shape of these rocks and this tree bark, and the shape of this leaf and the pond in the park. You can make organic shapes, that much I know. Just let the lines flow. Let's get into shape.
All right, look, I know you guys are better than this. I'm going off the rocker here. Let's ground it with a new tool. HeyGen has dropped a new 3.0 avatar update. Look, there's a lot of faceless YouTube channels. There's a lot of instructional videos. There's a lot of people who don't speak the language that they're building content for. And putting avatars in those situations always kind of made sense to me. But I think this might be the first update where when I was watching this without audio, I thought it really was a person. Now, I could kind of tell that the audio wasn't human, but that's more on the audio side than it is the video side, which is surprising.
You know how making videos used to be a huge hassle? This is an AI avatar created using HeyGen's new Avatar 3.0 with unlimited looks. In just the past year, AI video technology has made incredible leaps forward. What you're witnessing is the future of digital content creation at scale.
Man, last time I played with HeyGen, or I think it was called Synthesia, which was kind of similar. It was one of the oldest videos on my channel. Let me see. Yeah, this one, that was a full year ago. I asked 2 AIs to date.
There was a man who was madly in love with a woman. Unfortunately for me, I or us. Famous bands never open doors. Doors open for them because of their fame.
I am more interested in the car doors, which are opened. Chivalrous, and access granted to steering wheel. Beep, beep, va, room.
This is genius. You're probably going to need someone else, or you can do a triangle with you right up against the TV. But if you're eating and you tend to spill, you can just put the robot vacuum in that vicinity and it takes care of itself. Every time I leave a movie theater, there's always like a few pieces of popcorn on the seat and on the floor. I feel so bad. But if when I went to the movies, they put a little, not a cage around me, but like a little guardian kind of rails so they could have a robot vacuum. But then that would be, the sound would, you're right. Vacuum sound though, that's just too much. How am I gonna focus on the movie? It's like a white noise machine. And what if it hit you in the groin? Like that poor guy, if that thing came in full charged, ouch. All right, so there was this assistant professor at MIT, Dr. Yang. He's really kind of big in the AI space. So this is a significant partnership. He created a company called Altera, and now that they're working closely with Sam Altman to develop, quote, digital humans, but these are AI agents that are designed to interact and collaborate with people in a more human-like way. It's probably worth taking a note of because these agents, what's making them more unique is not just that they're built to experience emotions and handle long-term tasks, which is that they started to solve one of the big problems, which is the degrading of data and quality of memory over time with these agents. So if you're playing a game, you have a memory as a human about like how the game started, what the early moves were, but these kind of agents, when they start learning how to do things like that, end up forgetting early moves and whatnot. But these agents don't seem to have that kind of a memory. So to tackle this, they combine GPT models with a brain-inspired module to improve cognitive and emotional stability of their AI. And it seems like they got a kind of special sauce with GPT-4o's brain and their new improved cognitive brain-inspired model working together. All right, next let's jump over to Cell, one of the most prestigious journals in the world. And this might be the beginning of some really interesting medication. This is a deep learning framework that combines molecular image and protein structural representations to identify candidate drugs for pain. All right, so this paper is introducing a new AI model. It's called Lisa-CPI. It's a deep learning model, and it works by analyzing the image of drug molecules and 3D protein structures to predict how they interact. Because it combines two powerful types of information, there's molecular images of the drugs, and then there's the 3D structure of protein that it's solving, more like AlphaFold. So it had a bunch of suggestions about what could be used for pain treatments, but it also spotted something pretty unexpected, a useful compound that came from gut bacteria that can help with chronic pain. David Shapiro, listen up, because remember, as soon as his gut got better, he felt so much better. His anxiety went away. What if there's something that it's discovering in the gut bacteria that can help with chronic pain, like the kind of low-level pain that might be making us might be messing with society if we're all feeling sort of sick and tired and like overweight all the time and overworked, anxious. I don't know. This could be really interesting if it starts to bridge some of those gaps. And this Lisa-CPI model can also do something else that none of the other models have been able to do, and that's try to check it for addictive qualities. Boom. If we find better painkillers, we find pillars that can handle these long-term low-level problems, we can find painkillers that understand the gut axis and why that actually plays an important part of why we feel the way we do, and we can make them not addictive. I don't know. This model's definitely moving in the right direction. All right, so this one might catch you a little off guard. It is from justice.gov. It's not my usual source for AI news, but there was this North Carolina musician who was actually charged with fraud, and he was aided by artificial intelligence. All right, so look, this guy allegedly produces these hundreds of thousands of AI generated songs and then utilizes an automatic feature to repeatedly stream the music to generate unlawful royalties to the tune of $10 million. I'm so surprised it got up to that high of a number. I mean, obviously there's a lot of bots out there, and who knows when you're like buying ads on these social networks, how human the clicks are, but I didn't really expect that much money to be done by one person with an automated system. So each time a song is streamed through one of the online streaming platforms like Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, the rights holder can be entitled to a small royalty. I mean, that's how the creator economy works, and it's really important. And what if bots just ruin this for us? Before I figure out how to even make a living doing it, by the way, can you subscribe to my Patreon, please? So if you're watching the video on YouTube, just go right down here to the description and click right there, Patreon, Dylan Curious. That'll take you to this page where you can either sign up for $2.99 a month, $6.99 a month, or $14.99 a month to support me, and then I'll make even more videos like this and at a better pace and have maybe more money so I can spend more time making the content even better. And it really would mean a lot to me because right now I have 57 members, which I'm really thankful for, but it only accounts for about $128 a month, which, is like a far cry from making a living. But anyhow, yeah, this guy ended up generating approximately 661,000 streams per day, and it yielded him an annual royalty of over $1 million, $1.2 million. Now he spread his automated streams across thousands of different songs to avoid anomalous streaming, as any single one song might have, got him caught. So then he started using an AI music company and then a music promoter, to create thousands of songs using artificial intelligence that he could then fraudulently stream. Like randomly generated song and artist names. Like look at all these names that start with a Z. But who would have known, man? If you heard a song from Calm Knuckles or Calvin Man or Calm Innovation, you'd be like, whatever, it's a name. Anyhow, look, I'm glad he got busted. I don't like people messing with the creator economy. All right, we're going to dive deep into how ChatGPT works. You probably heard of the Transformer. Famous paper came out of Google, set the tone for how OpenAI built GPT 1.234.40.1. Yeah, the Canvas, the new model, with all of that stuff. Okay, so you can imagine going to a large language model like ChatGPT, and let's say you put in artificial intelligence is transforming and you want to see what the next word is going to be, because these are next word predictors, right? They're next token predictors. Tokens are words and word like fragments. So when you first type in something like this and then you hit enter on ChatGPT, it first looks and turns these into what you call them the embeddings, but they're the word fragments, the tokens. So like artificial isn't the whole token. There's art is one token and official, I guess. So, it's kind of funky the way it all comes together, but the more you break it out, the more you can like rearrange it. It kind of makes it more powerful. That's why there's so many of them. They have individual positions because it's going to be this big matrix multiplication thing. And this is cool. If you want to get it a little bit more fine grained and actually do the math to make sure, you can go in here and look at the matrix multiplication, the dot product. Oh, and then softmax to kind of normalize it. And then, I forgot what dropout did. Let me check. In the context of AI, what does dropout do? Yeah, so dropout's another normalizer. Anyways, yeah, because you have to keep balancing this stuff out because you're, resetting every word pretty much the same math. But yeah, when it's all done, you can actually see that it comes up with probabilities for the next word. And a bunch of them are very low probabilities. And then after artificial intelligence is transforming the world, the next thing that it thinks it should write is either way or world. And they're very close. So it's interesting. You can see the temperature slider too, which sometimes you'll see this on large language models. I've never played with it, but as you can see, as it gets closer to 0, it gets way more confident in a couple terms and then way less confidence in everything else. So it's like 70, 30%, and then a bunch of ones. But then it seems like it creates more randomness. That's how they usually describe temperature, as like creativity or randomness. But when you crank it all the way up to 10, you can see even the ones that it still predicts as the most likely are just much closer. It's like less than 3% now. And I don't know, that's just sort of fascinating. So, you set it in the middle, so most of the time it picks what it thinks is best, but once in a while you get a little bit of variety. But yeah, it just seems like a really well put together explanation of how the transformer works. And if you guys just want to dive into it a little bit more, but not get super duper technical and still technical enough to understand it, this seems like a great link. It's called the Transformer Explainer, poloclub.github.io. All right, let's talk about that sketchy company that you always see at the airport called Clearview. So it is a US-based facial recognition company, and it's known for scraping billions of images from the internet without consent. It tries to link them to the people who are traveling all over the world. It keeps track of how people are traveling, and it has been hit with a 30 million euro fine by the Dutch Data Protection Authority for violating the GDPR. This is the largest fine that Clearview has ever faced in Europe. And it faces even more penalties if it doesn't start to comply, because they're doing this because they feel like the company just doesn't seem to comply whenever they say to do something. Which kind of makes sense. These companies make like maybe even billions of dollars, and you're like, 30 million is your punishment. They're like, fine, that's like cheaper than actually doing the work, to be honest. So I was kind of like, yeah, maybe you need to hold the executives accountable. If you're doing it for the right reasons. Like, the company has ignored similar fines across Europe. It continues to operate despite not meeting GDPR requirements. And these Dutch regulators are just fed up, and now they're considering holding the executives personally liable for these ongoing violations. Now, I don't know enough about the story to say, okay, maybe it was unfair, maybe the government's like, stopping innovation or something like that. So there is always the other side of that story, but for the most part, it feels like these companies are just kind of going rampant with our personal information, and yeah, maybe a little more accountability, more fines, I guess, or personal liability might be a good thing in my opinion. Okay, so check this out. If you're into longevity and you're thinking, I wonder if I am going to live hundreds and hundreds of years, then you'd be interested in this new research. It is the Cell Rejuvenation Atlas. Okay, so there's all these little strategies that you might hear about online, like calorie restriction, metformin, senescence, what's the NAD plus or something like that. Well, this paper is trying to stay on top of all of that and look for a pattern. Like, what is it about rejuvenation? What is the molecular mechanism behind various different rejuvenation strategies that we might be able to use? So they developed this model. It is called Singular, all caps, and it is a single cell RNA sequencing based tool. And what it does is it analyzes and compares all the interventions that are helping people either live longer or not making a difference, and it measures them across multiple organs. And then it tries to identify what the master regulators are. Like, are we like too in the weeds? Like, what's the big thing that's making all of these other techniques work? And if we identify what those are, then what are the transcription factors that trigger those? Because that could be the big key to rejuvenation. So the whole paper is about taking a more holistic anti-aging approach. And the paper highlights this potential use of using network biology to design synthetic interventions that can mimic complex rejuvenation strategies. And just to dive into one of the things that they found, there's regulators. They're members of something called the AP1 complex, way above me. I don't know what that means. But those regulators, which I think can be controlled at the DNA level, were found to drive significant rejuvenation effects when activated. So the authors are saying if somebody wants to now start targeting these regulators, either through drugs or interventions, the study suggests that it might be possible to create that holistic and effective rejuvenation therapy that, that we would all love to have. But also, it's just an incredible amount of work that went into this. Just to understand something at a high level and to have that much detail come together into a way where you can find patterns is just really impressive. So thankful there's people like out there doing this kind of work. All right, so this is Terence Tao. Actually, not the first time we featured him on this channel, but I only knew of him last time because he won the Math Olympiad, and sometimes when they're testing these AI models that do, was it geometry or some mathematics, they would like measure it against him. And he won the award that's essentially the Nobel Prize of Mathematics. And he's starting to dip his toe into what an AI-powered industrial-scale mathematics world would look like. You can see in the Atlantic, we're entering uncharted territory for math. Terence Tao, the world's greatest living mathematician, has a vision for AI. And then he goes on to talk about how they could solve these complex computational patterns, like so pattern recognition, semantic exploration of large mathematical landscapes. And if we can start freeing the real mathematicians from doing repetitive calculations, from getting caught in the code that they're programming to solve problems in areas like number theory, combinatorics, where precision is critical, then we could start using humans alongside machines like this to actually piece together what's really happening. And he points specifically to cryptography, learning theory, bioinformatics as some of the industries where the large data sets can play a big role in the mathematical breakthroughs and how that can help. He talks a lot about how AI could be generating hypotheses and testing them, because if you generate the hypothesis in a very specific way that can be computationally tested, AI can test for that. Is that more like woo-woo-y, or is that actually something I can write a program for? And if it can, then write the program for it and test it. Cross-checking really complicated proofs And in areas where we already have some models, but they don't have the greatest accuracy, we can start optimizing them better. So some of the models in physics, economics, and engineering that are used more as rules of thumb could be broken down into specific use cases better. So he totally sees this AI revolution, especially the reasoning models, these O1 models, completely changing the kind of breakthroughs we're going to have over the next decade. And it's pretty exciting. Oh yeah, and do you know we're still finding new species on Earth? I mean, it's obvious when you say it out loud like that, but I just never think like, oh, I wonder what species we've discovered this year until I came across this article. Olivia Dobbs, she put together this article on Medium. It was like 20 of the most spectacular species in 2024. And I was like, what are you finding? Like new starfish? Look at this thing. Just a month ago in Japan, they found that thing. Common name not yet coined. Weird. New snake. Tons of new millipedes. I mean, I could have gone without learning this, but like there's a lot of new millipedes we didn't know about. They just move. Look, they found this little flower in an area that had been like heavily deforested. New bird, new frog, new fish. Lord of the Rings nerds rejoice. A new species of piranha was found in June. The Myloplus sarin, common name not coined yet. New pirate spiders. I can move on past that one. All right, and you knew I had to go here. Let's go quantum consciousness. New results are bolstering Penrose's quantum consciousness hypothesis. Now, obviously Penrose is like one of the top mathematicians, scientists of all time. But as he's been getting older, he's been pushing these like quantum consciousness things, and everyone's like, are you going crazy? You know, are you past your prime? But he's also so smart and so successful. He got a lot of people to like sort of look into it. And, you know, if he's right, like, holy cow, he'll be right. But he's probably not. It just feels a little weird. And it's this idea that human consciousness comes from quantum only. Like, you can't just put all the cells together and compute how the electricity moves across them all and end up with information theory solutions. You have to have a quantum solution. So he argues that there is this one structure, it's a microtubule or tubules, I don't know how to say it, but it's inside of our neurons, a little structure. And in them, there's some molecules that are using quantum phenomenon like superposition or quantum entanglement, basically quantum mechanics, and they play a key role in how the brain functions. So according to this theory, consciousness results from quantum computations within these microtubules. So Terry Boilinger did discuss some recent research that supports Penrose quantum consciousness hypothesis. It specifically focuses on the idea of superradiance. That is a quantum phenomenon where particles like tryptophan that is in the brain can synchronize its energy emissions across vast timescales. Let me just check superradiance. I don't know what that is. In simple terms, think of it like a choir singing in perfect harmony. Instead of each singer's voice being heard separately, their voices combine to create a powerful unified sound. In superradiance, each electromagnetic wave of each atom combines in phases, reinforcing each other to produce a much stronger wave. Okay. And this effect could help explain how quantum mechanics might influence biological systems like the brain, suggesting a link between quantum processes and consciousness. Okay, if you don't join my Patreon, hit this join button. It's kind of the same thing, but it's built into YouTube. So if you've already got your credit card in there for YouTube Red or whatever, watching movies, it's a really easy way to support the channel. You have the Hobbs tier, the Grimlock tier, or the Grimlock Transformed tier. That'd be really fun. Totally support the channel. So right now, I really want to tell you about what's on my mind, which is, I'll just tell you, fine. If you guys are here this long in the video. So I made some spaghetti and it dried out on the plate afterwards. Like I had some residue and it got hard and I've been scraping it off the plate. And I was thinking, why does spaghetti sauce get hard when it gets dry? Like, wouldn't you kind of think the opposite? Like they say water is the universal solvent, and it is. When you put water on it, you can scrape it off more, but it's what happens? Like when water gets evaporated out of the spaghetti sauce, it can then all of a sudden stick to a glass plate. I'm gonna have to ChatGPT voice chat that because that's really what's on my mind. But before I do that, let me go look at some of the comments you guys had in the last video. Paradox of Progress is doing pretty well. It's only 6 hours old, 2,000 views. All right, here's somebody happy about me bringing the doomsday news. Yeah, we can turn that into a song lyric. We'll make it exceptionally happy just for ironic. Come on, Grimlock cake. Bro, we got it. Human civilization reached its peak in 1970 and it's been downhill ever since. Just ask ChatGPT. Fine, I will. Evaluating historical progress. Uh-oh. Presenting a dual perspective. Whoa. Oh man, it's subject to debate. Yeah, look at that. 1970s, climate change, deforestation, biodiversity loss. Yeah, but then they did create the EPA, the Clean Air Act. Look, stagnation for the middle class. growing wealth gap. Societal bonds and community engagement were stronger. Yeah, that's probably what he's referring to mostly. There's a lot of truth to that. Social media does make me feel like the world's a bit more divided than it ever used to be, but I don't know. I don't know how much of that is just what it feels like versus what it is. Either way, you made the song, bro. Let's go with an electro pop today.
Human civilization reached its peak in 1970, and it's been downhill ever since. Just ask ChatGPT. Human civilization reached its peak in 1970, and it's been downhill ever since. Just ask ChatGPT.
Oh man, what a jam. All right, hit subscribe, join my Patreon, support the channel, leave a comment. I would love that. See you guys in the next video.